Hey guys, my name is T2 and welcome to my stuff. Today I'm going to show you how to make this end table with a drawer and some bottom storage. This project consists only two types of materials, plywood and lumber. I cut down my plywood first to size and made the table legs out of 2x2s. Well, actually it's 2x4s. 2x2s are a bit more expensive, and why not get 2 out of 1 using a 2x4 with a lower price, so that's the route that I went, but of course you can use some pine boards or 2x2s. The overall dimensions of the end table are 15 inches wide by 23 inches long and about 26 3/8 inch tall. The 2x4 is first cut down to about 27 inches so it can be fine-tuned later. Later in the video, you will see that the lumber isn't very flat and has a twist to it, so the table legs ended up an 1/8 inch smaller. I can then cut the 2x4 into my rough dimensions that makes up my table legs. I first cut off the round edges and flip it to the other side to square off the other side. And then I can trim it to the final dimension of 26 3/8 inch. I then split them in half into 1.5 inch of each leg. And here I'm just cutting the filler pieces that will hold the drawers together. The assembly process is pretty simple by starting of making the side panels. The panel is pretty simple, which is just consisting of a plywood and some cheap lumber on top, which then I glued and tacked into place. Now, if your lumber is twisted like mine as I said before, when attaching that to the plywood, you may want to tack a few brads first on one end and start your way to the other to make sure that it lines up flush with the plywood. Then I drilled pocket holes on the side panel so then I can mount that to the legs later. I put some glue on the backer panel and I pocket screwed that to one of the legs. And then the same thing applies to the other leg. And then the same thing applies to the side panel, except it only gets attached to one of the leg first, and then it gets screwed on with pocket screws again to the other leg. And here is the filler piece that will hold the drawer. Again, I'm just using pocket screws with no glue because I don't have space to put that in there. And here I'm just attaching the drawers with some glue and brads, just straight up butt joints, really simple and straightforward. And then I routed a 1/2 inch rabbet on my router table into the drawer. Make sure you put masking tape on one of these sand plywood, or else you'll have a lot of chip out, as you can see later on in the video. Here you can see the one with masking tape on and the one without masking tape on, which is a huge difference. And I use a sheet of 1/4 inch plywood for my drawer bottom, and I cut it to the final length of that. To accommodate the rounded corners from the rabbet, I rounded over my 1/4 inch plywood on the disc sander and put some glue and tacked that onto the drawer with some brads. Here I'm just using some scrap plywood as my drawer runners, with some glue and brads to hold it in place. To attach the bottom shelf, I first cut out some 3-inch spacer place it on my garage floor, and then I push the bottom panel down in place. After that, I can clamp it in place and bring that onto my workbench. And once again, and for the last time, I fasten it with pocket screws. Attaching the tabletop is the last step to do, so I ironed on some edge banding to cover up the plywood edges. And I spread out some glue on the top of the end table. And place the tabletop in place with a few stop blocks that I clamp onto the table. Check for equal distance and tack it in with some brads. To make the drawer pulls, I cut out 2 pieces of plywood to 1 inch wide. One is 5.5 inch long and one splits into 2 of 1 inch square. Then I can put some glue on it and clamp that into place. After the glue dries, I cut a 45-degree angle on it and round it over the corners on my router table. And then the boring process kicked in and the sanding process begun, and I painted the entire table white. It feels so boring just by looking at it. So the project turned out pretty well, except that the drawer binds a little bit when you open and closes it. But that's not a very big of a deal. The bottom storage is pretty handy that you can store some books and some stuff that my mom has, because this is a birthday gift for my mom. So mom, if you're watching this, happy birthday. The tedious part of this is the paint itself. I have to paint over this for like 5 or 6 times because this is a sand plywood, which has like gaps in it, and you have to fill it before you paint it. So guys, that will be it, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I post out a video every 2 weeks, and if you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on the post notification down below, so every time when I post, you won't miss it. If you enjoy these type of content, please like and share this video if possible, and please consider checking out my Patreon page, and that will help me out a lot too. Or you can use the Amazon affiliate link down in the description, and it will generate a little bit of a kickback if you purchase anything on Amazon. And that's a wrap for today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, stay fresh and keep making. See you guys on the next one. Enjoyed it. I post out